When doing major repairs like this, it's a good idea to disconnect the negative battery cable, and we'll set it aside. I like wrapping a towel around it so it doesn't accidentally work its way back up and make contact with the negative battery cable. The first thing we want to do is drain the radiator. On the driver's side, at the bottom of the radiator, you can see that white cap. That's the drain for the radiator. So if we turn it counterclockwise, coolant will start coming out of the bottom of that. By taking the radiator cap off, it'll allow the coolant to drain faster. You can see the coolant draining. I have this big Tupperware. That's the biggest Tupperware I could get at the grocery store, and I just cut the bottom out on it. I really like that for a coolant drain pan because it's really wide and big, just in case I miscalculate. While we allow the coolant to drain, we can pull some things off. We can pull this off. It's a flathead here. This can come off of that, and it all comes out with it. In the back, get my flashlight, you have this connector here. With this style of connector, you want to push this red lever back, and then it's just a matter of pushing down on this, and it unlocks it. A lot of these connectors on these Dodges are done very similar to this one. Having a little screwdriver like this makes these connectors pretty easy work. Now with the airbox out of the way, there's two other plugs you can get to, right there, and they're connected to the throttle body, and they're done the exact same way. They have a red clip that gets pushed back and then just pinched and pulled out. So you can just look around on the top of the intake manifold. You see connectors, hoses. We'll just go ahead and unplug everything that we see connected to the manifold that looks easy to just pop off. Any hoses connected to your power steering pump. This piece here, you got one, you got another one in the back. Don't disconnect those. We're gonna leave all those intact, and this power steering pump reservoir will just get pushed aside. So you don't have to disconnect anything from there. It'll just get unbolted from the manifold. So our coolant has pretty much stopped draining. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up that petcock, the drain, so I don't forget. It only needs to be hand tight. You don't need to put any tools on it to tighten it further. It has a little O-ring inside that seals it up anyway, so just good and hand tight is all you need. For separating the throttle cables, there's two different ways you can do it. You can pull these bolts off here, they're 8mm, and then this bracket comes off with it, or you can see in here there's just little tabs that you can push in, and then it'll pop out of this little bracket. So that's up to you. I'm gonna just pull it out. I'm gonna leave the bracket where it is. To get the cable off of the throttle plate, you just do that, give it some slack, and it'll come around and pop off, just like that. So not too difficult, but give it slack, and then you can get these out of their respective slots. So I changed my mind. I am gonna just pull these screws out, because then I don't have to worry about accidentally having these backwards, one on the wrong side or the other. So I'm just gonna pull these out, and then the whole bracket will come out with it. As I go, wherever I took the screw or bolt out, I like to put it back either where it was or with the part that it came off with. That way, during reassembly, it's easy to locate what goes where. If you just have a pile of bolts, pile of nuts, then it's hard to determine, okay, did this go there, did that go there? And then you're pulling things back off because it didn't go the way you thought it did. So leaving your bolts or screws or nuts on the part where it came off of or next to it can be really helpful. Speeds up the process of reinstallation. Removing the power steering pump reservoir is just two screws, one here, one there. They're both 8mm. So I have the power steering pump reservoir just held back with a bungee cord. Just keep it out of my way so it doesn't keep falling back. The next we want to do is work on getting the coils out. What I like to do is take a permanent marker and just mark on here 1 dot, 2 dots, 3 dots. Now I know that that's first, second, and third. And I go left to right because that's how we read, so it's easy to remember. And then I'll do the same on the back. Once the plug wires are off, there's 2 nuts holding the coil pack. It all comes off together. There's one here and then one in the back. And those are both 8mm. I lied. So those are 10mm, not 8. It also has one connector in the back that needs to come off. With the ignition coil out, this plate can also come up and out as well. So the next things to come off, you have a plug there, the heater hose there, and then your hose for the radiator here. And that pretty much takes care of this side for now. Just a heads up, when you're pulling either this hose off or that hose off, there may be some residual coolant left inside. So keep your bucket underneath where it was and it should catch it. So now we're done over here for now. We can hop over and take our EGR off if you haven't already. They're 8mm, 2 up here and then 2 down here. EGR tube's gone. You can leave that hose on. That's for the PCV for that side. Now we'll get our upper intake manifold off. And it's a series of bolts. They're 10mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, 4 on the other side, and it should separate. So one thing that helped me get to these back bolts here was a ratcheting wrench. Helped really good. It was just kind of awkward getting a socket in there, but 10mm ratcheting wrench worked perfect. That's the PCV right there. So this is off. One thing I forgot to mention is your evap hose. So there's one hose right here. With our upper intake manifold off, I highly recommend putting something to block these ports, because if there's a valve open, then you accidentally drop something in there and now it's inside your cylinder. So that's a mess. So next thing we want to do is disconnect the harness. All of these injectors can be disconnected and that harness can be sloughed off to the side, and then we'll want to work on getting our fuel rail off. So once you have all these disconnected, they're attached to the rail through this little retainer here. That could just get popped up on all of them. There should be 4 retainers. So the fuel rail itself does not have to come off. You can leave the injectors in. It doesn't get in the way of our bolts. So then it's a matter of just squeezing these clips and that'll come off. But remember, there could be residual fuel pressure. So I recommend getting a towel underneath to collect the fuel. And then when you pull it off, wrap it with a towel while you pull this off. Wear safety glasses. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher around. So you can see I have some old house towels underneath. That'll catch anything dripping. Now the spray that may come from disconnection, I'll use another towel and I'll wrap it around while I pull it off. And that'll get any spray. I'll also wear safety glasses. You can see I changed my gloves. So if I get any gas on my hands, it doesn't stink. I could just pull these gloves off and then I don't have that nasty gas smell all over me. So that's with it disconnected. For me, fortunately, there wasn't very much fuel in the rail. The pressure wasn't really there, so that was great for me, but it's always good to take those precautions. So now we can go ahead and take off our lower intake manifold. You can get a long extension. I believe this is a 6-inch extension with a socket. And you'll have these 10mm bolts. There's one here, and that's how they are. They're in this direction and then in this direction. There should be 8 altogether, 4 on one side, 4 on the other. With all those bolts completely out and removed, you should be able to wiggle it and it'll come right off. So we'll just pull it straight up and out. So this is inside. This is the gasket here. I just took the rags that were in the intake manifold and just stuffed them in there. So to get this gasket out, there's a 10mm bolt there and a 10mm bolt there, and then this whole metal tray will pop out. So with that tray removed, you can see your engine is exposed. This is just the top. Those are your push rods for your valves. Anytime you're cleaning up any of this, we'll want to clean this up. We want to clean this surface up. All this surface we want to clean up. So put a rag under here, because you don't want all that gunk just landing into your engine. So we'll go ahead and clean that up. Clean all our surfaces up really good. Don't use something metal to scrape, because you don't want to gouge. This is just aluminum, so you don't want to gouge the aluminum. Use something plastic or just a rag. A lot of this will come off with just a rag. Another thing you could do while cleaning is use a vacuum cleaner. Have a vacuum cleaner right under or right next to what you're working on, and that'll help also prevent anything from falling in. And you can vacuum around your valve cover gaskets and vacuum really everywhere. And it could be that the vacuum scrapes enough to get the heavy gunk off. So we got this surface all prepped. Now that you have really good access to your valve covers, it wouldn't hurt to replace the gaskets if you felt it was needed. You also have really good access to your back spark plugs. Your front you always have good access to, but doing maintenance stuff like that wouldn't be a bad idea at this point. It just makes it that much easier. So we want to turn the manifold upside down, and then we'll do the same. We'll clean this whole surface off, including this part here, and then do the whole back side, and then this part here. Just get it all nice and clean, a smooth surface for installation. One thing to be aware of when turning this over, around, maneuvering it, is that there'll still be fuel in the fuel rail. So we got our gasket surfaces clean, but now would be a good time to just do a general clean of this whole manifold. Make it look nice, make yourself happy that it's as clean as possible before installation. Not necessary, but makes things look good. Another thing we want to do real quick is clean off all our bolts before insertion. So once those are clean, our manifold is clean, our engine surface is clean, now we're ready to install the new gasket and put things back together. Before putting the gasket in, on these corners where the head meets the block, there's a corner, those two corners, we want to put RTV silicone. I recommend this Right Stuff 90-minute gasket maker. I've just had good results with it. I'm not a sponsor, it's just been excellent for me. Whatever RTV you use, you want to put them in the four corners before we lay our gasket in. So we got the gasket laid in here. We could tighten these two retaining bolts down to 105 inch-pounds. So now we have the intake manifold back on. So once you torque those, that gasket retaining to 105 inch-pounds, then you just go ahead and put the manifold over the top. Now it's easiest to get the end bolts lined up first. You might have to move it left or right, but you get those lined up first, and then those middle ones just fall into place. Now there is a tightening sequence, so I'll go ahead and get that sequence and then tell you what it is. So the sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You also want to tighten them to 10 inch-pounds in that sequence, then again 100 inch-pounds, and then finally 200 inch-pounds is the last torque. Now that those are torqued through their sequence, I like to go back and just double check again that they're all torqued to 200 inch-pounds. Now we can start assembling. We could put our fuel line back on, and then our harness for our injectors. Next we can wipe off our surface here, get it nice and clean, and on our manifold we'll pull these old gaskets out and insert our new ones. If your PCV tube on the manifold ended up splitting or somehow having a crack, this one had a crack in it. When I took it off, it looked like it was already taped. That's what you can do. This is just a cloth electrical tape that I like to use. It's really good for repairing harnesses and stuff like that, and it works good for this too. Just tape it up real good. It's not under pressure or anything crazy like that, but just give it a good wrap up and you should be good to go there. So now that the upper manifold is on, it's easiest to get these center ones in first on the front and back, and then those outer ones line up. So the sequence for this, it's 105 inch-pounds. Dodge recommends using thread locker, so blue thread locker, and the sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once those are all torqued down, we can go ahead and put our EGR tube back on. We can also put our evap line back on. Those connectors that connected to the back of the throttle body can go back on. So when you're tightening things up on this manifold, just remember that this is plastic and they don't have little metal insert sleeves or anything, so it's just plastic. You just want to be careful not to cross thread or over tighten to strip the plastic out. Got your EGR on, those connectors on. Now we could put this connector on, and we could go ahead and put our radiator hose back on and our heater core hose on. We also don't want to forget our coolant temp connector. Now we can go ahead and put our coil pack on. Want to put the plate on first, then the coil pack on top of that. I'm going to plug that coil connector in the back in, and then our spark plugs we have marked 1, 2, 3. We can plug those in, same with the back, and then we could lay our reservoir back over. Now we could plug our two hoses in here, this connector if you haven't already. Now we're ready to lay over our throttle cable and get that put back in. Now we have our air filter box and duct that goes into the throttle body. That connector goes into the sensor there, and then the tube off of the air filter will go into that. So that should be it. Double check your work, make sure we didn't miss any hoses, connectors, bolts, anything like that. Just give it a good once over. If you're satisfied, now we'll go ahead and fill up the coolant and fire it up. So it took just about 1.5 gallons to get the coolant back up. So next thing we'll do is put our negative battery cable back on, and then turn the ignition key on, come back out, and make sure we're not dripping any fuel where that connector was. So we got the ignition key turned on. We cycled it a couple of times to build up that rail pressure, and then we checked underneath where our fuel line went in, and everything's looking good. No leaks. So now we can go ahead and fire her up. It might run rough for a little bit while it gets all the air out of that fuel rail. It'll smooth out, and then we want it to warm up to operating temperature. So we got the car started up. You may notice some bubbles coming out of the coolant. That's normal. Also, watch your dash. You want to make sure it doesn't overheat. You also want to make sure that it reaches operating temperature so it doesn't stay cold the whole time. And then you also want to look for a check engine light. If you see a check engine light, then you know one of these sensors may be unplugged. If you didn't have one before you started and it's a new check engine light, then it could be a sensor that's unplugged. But we'll let it warm up to operating temperature. Really, the procedure is to raise the RPM up to about 2.5 to 3 grand for a minute. And then after that minute, let the engine back down to an idle for a minute. And then raise it back up for a minute, and then back down for a minute. And do that about 10 times. And what you're doing is you're getting the water pump to force the fluid through the system. And that'll push any air or anything out to the radiator. There may be some steam because of the pulling off hoses and things like that. Some coolant can get on the exhaust, but that's normal. It'll evaporate. After the bleeding procedure, go ahead and put the radiator cap back on, and you are complete. Job well done. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends about us, help us build our channel. Thanks again. See you on the next one.